Welcome back to the Slasher Siblings podcast. I'm your co-host Cicely,
I'm your host, Hayden.
and our other co-host Matthew is here today. Hopefully, he will sleep. Today we're talking about In a Violent Nature. Came out in 2024, has no rating, it's an hour and 34 minutes long, and it got a 5.6 out of 10 on IMDb. When a locket is removed from a collapsed fire tower in the woods that entombs the rotting corpse of Johnny, a vengeful spirit spurred on by a horrific 60-year-old crime, his body is resurrected and becomes hell-bent on retrieving it.
And before we get into the movie, go ahead and read the question.
This 1982 film features... I'm sorry, he's staring at me while I do this. Okay, this 1982 film features an escaped mental patient with a drill who decides to crash a high school student's slumber party. Answer: the Slumber Party Massacre.
If you got that, good job. If not, better luck next time. But, let's get into In a Violent Nature. Well, first we should tell them that we took a break for a week. Sorry we didn't tell you, but
I know you guys missed us.
I know you missed us, yeah. But we just decided last minute just to take a week off, kind of in a way celebrating our 100th episode.
Just a little break, ski.
Yeah, that's it.
Don't worry about it.
So, I really liked how it opened on the shot of a window and voices. You could just hear, like, you were looking at a window, but you didn't, like, see anybody, you know? And, I kind of like that, because you're just trying to figure out, like, what was going on, you know? And, I also liked how they came into frame, but you didn't see their face or their head or anything. You just saw, like, their body or whatever. But, they ended up, before they leave, taking the locket. And, as we know from pretty much any and many other horror movies, that it's not a good thing to take some mysterious locket that you found in the middle of the woods.
I don't think I would do that.
Yeah, he
Matthew
wouldn't either.
Oh, I thought he said he would. My bad. He's smarter than that.
But once he took it, I felt like it looked at the ground for a long time, which I thought was a little too long.
Yeah.
Personally, it was just like staring at the ground.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Sometimes I do that.
But somebody was in the ground. Somebody who hadn't bothered to get out until after they took the locket, which, as we just said, is never a good idea. But it's also the person that, you know, this movie revolves around, which is like basically kind of like a Jason character. But he's the camera's following him the whole time throughout this movie.
Which is a cool
perspective wise.
Yeah, and you don't see
movie.
that ever.
No.
Right.
And what's really cool is the fact that it is following him the entire movie, because we always get like Friday the 13th, we get the camper's perspective in the movie. You know, and we watch Jason murdering them, but we never see, you know, Jason following a person and then all of a sudden he's somewhere else. We don't see... Yeah, exactly.
That's how I feel too, Matthew.
We don't see him, like, you know, go around the other way, right?
Right.
And in this movie, we see him following a guy, and then he stops and goes a different way. And he starts following someone else and kills them, and then, you know, he chases certain people around the whole movie, but as soon as they turn around and look at him, he's somewhere else. And I mean, it's the same aspect with Michael Myers too.
Yeah.
I mean, he is technically supernatural, and Jason eventually becomes supernatural, but it's like Michael Myers is behind the bush, and then all of a sudden he's gone.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he's like behind Laurie, and there's...
He's everywhere.
He's everywhere. And it's like, it would be cool to see a movie follow Michael Myers and like watch him
that'd be cool.
Like disappear into the bush
and
then just like watch him climb through the bush and get out the other side or something. But it starts following the man to, the little cabin or whatever you want to call it. And he hears a car horn and some other people, so he decides that he should go elsewhere. It's usually not how it goes. It's usually the bad guy bursts in, starts killing people. So kind of cool to see him be like strategic, I guess, and know that like this probably isn't a good idea for him to do it now. I'll just come back later.
It's kind of like you're sitting there watching him like think, sort of.
Yeah, and contemplate different ways to I guess the whole point was to get his locket back, not so much like I just want to kill people. But then he goes inside the house, which was a pretty interesting scene because he attacked the people outside. And I don't think the camera goes into the house, does it? Like we hear him killing somebody from the outside?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm pretty sure, and I thought that was really cool because, like I said, the camera did not follow him in there. And it was just interesting to see him from the outside. Or hear him from the outside, I should say. But he killed the man, and he got the locket.
Yep.
And this is where you would think that, this is where the movie ends, right? He got the locket, but he came across the kids that were gathered around the fire, or adults, whatever you want to... The people gathered around the fire. And the people that were around the fire were telling the White Pine story. And basically the story is how Johnny came to be or whatever. And was saying, like, there was a fire and the kid got trapped in it and the building, or the guy, rather, and the building fell on top of him and he's been buried there for technically 60 years, but, like... I guess somebody must have already, taken the locket, which caused him to come out of the ground one point, because they wouldn't. Somebody said you shouldn't have taken the locket or whatever, because this is what happened last time.
Should have learned a lesson.
Should have learned a lesson. And then Johnny is watching the people in the house from the outside, and he's basically seeing how all they're acting and stuff. And to this point, he's trying to figure out, like, which one of them taken the locket. And, whenever he finally finds out who takes it, he ends up killing Aaron, the first person, in a pretty brutal way.
Oh, yeah.
Like, none of these kills aren't brutal. You know what I mean? Like every single one is pretty terrifying and awful. Yeah, see?
Scary.
And then he takes the body somewhere. I don't think it really explains where he takes the bodies.
No, I didn't think so either.
But he took it elsewhere. And it basically becomes hidden. And he breaks into the building. Didn't he put the body in there? But he also found the mask and the weapons in there too.
Yeah.
Which he finds like an old coal mining mask or something.
Yeah.
And
is that what that was?
Yeah, it was like a respirator of some sort, which looked cool, honestly. Yeah. And it kind of, in a way, gives like the same vibe as like Friday the 13th with Jason and stuff.
That's what I was thinking of when I saw it too.
Yeah. I guess that's like what it was supposed to be. But then he goes underwater. And Jason had a fear of water, but he kills people in the water too. But he just straight up just goes in the water like it was nothing. He just walks straight in, all the way down to the bottom. I mean, I guess he's already dead, so he doesn't really need to breathe.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
He kills the girl underwater too, which was really cool. And it was cool to actually see the killer go into the water and kill from the water instead of like watching people be murdered in the water. It was really cool to see that aspect of it, that angle. But then he chases that yoga girl all the way to the cliff, but she sees the cliff and she just kind of accepts her fate. She just stands there and lets herself get killed because she knows she's not getting away.
That's probably what I would do, to be honest.
I mean, it's probably not a bad idea.
I think I'd freeze. I think
at
I'd
this
just
point,
stand
it's
there
like,
and take it.
just kill me. Like, there's no way I'm getting out of this. And, so he kills her, the yoga girl. But he eventually finds, like somebody else, I should say. And, they, for some reason, thought it was a good idea to throw the keys into the woods. I don't know why that was ever a plan, but okay. But then Johnny found the keys and he was playing with the car. So it kind of makes you think like that Johnny is like a child.
Yeah, he's very childlike.
Yeah, he's not exactly. I mean, he is a undead entity, but he had to have like a childlike brain or something because he was playing with that car like a little kid would. But he draws them out into the woods to where he could kind of like formulate a plan and then eventually start killing them. And he ends up getting shot by them, which puts him down for a little bit at least. Not long enough for them to get away, but he was down for a moment. And he throws that axe and hits one of the people. And I gotta say, he had a pretty good aim, to be honest with you.
Oh yeah, that's what I thought.
He's just sitting there. Oh no, it was a different person. He throws the axe, but grabs the axe again, and he's sitting there. He's just violently smashing that other dude's head. Just repeatedly, over and over, hitting the other guy with the axe. Just blowing his head apart.
Yep, like it's nothing.
Like it's nothing, and that might be the time that you want to run away.
Yeah.
Probably.
Maybe.
But they sit there and watch him just absolutely destroy their friend's head. Like, there was nothing left of his head except liquid.
Liquid. So gross.
That's how long and how many times he's hit the other guy's head. And there was a guy that they ran to for help that knows Johnny. Which, in this movie, would be like the Tommy character from Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
But he said he knows who this guy is, that you need to get away. It's not safe. Blah, blah, blah. And then he says he knows what he did 10 years ago. And he kind of gives a little background of what happened 10 years ago. But he hits him, and he must have paralyzed him because he wasn't moving.
Oh yeah.
Did he
just kind of
stabbed
laid there.
him, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he stabbed him. I can't remember, but he must have paralyzed him because he was not moving. He wasn't getting up. He was just looking around and breathing.
Just kind of taking it.
But then he drags this guy who knew him into the building, and there's a log splitter in there.
Yeah.
In a pretty brutal and violent way, he cuts him to pieces using a log splitter. Imagine how terrible that must be, watching this axe head like slowly come towards you and just chop your head off and stuff.
Yeah.
That's terrible. But now they're calling Johnny out, which seems to me to be stupid.
Uh-huh.
I don't know why you're egging him on, right? But then they were like formulating this plan that Colt needs to go distract him, and you need to like run away and blah 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 and all this other stuff.
Uh-huh.
And then that doesn't really work, does it?
No.
So I wrote great distraction, Colt, because
good job.
It lasted a whole 3 seconds.
Yeah.
She really got far and really got to safety at that point. But the girl or whatever, ends up taking the locket off and just hanging it off of the gas can, and she escapes. So she starts running through the woods, and she ends up like falling and rolling down this hill, and she gets a stick stabbed through her leg.
Yeah.
Which is pretty
Nasty.
terrible. And but she does end up getting away and gets out of the woods and stuff, but she's rescued by a woman. And I put a question mark because at this point in the movie, it's like, did she actually get rescued, or
what's going on?
Yeah, what's going on? And then they were in the truck, and then the lady says she's seen worse. What the hell does that mean? That you've seen worse?
Yeah.
Is this a regular occurrence? That
you see this a lot?
Yeah. Do a lot of people come out of these woods like torn to pieces like that?
Yeah. Starting to think they do.
But they pull over so they can stop her bleeding in her leg, because otherwise she's gonna bleed out and die. But this was also another anxious moment where you, the viewer, and the chick are just like kind of looking around. Not knowing if Johnny's gonna pop out of the woods or not.
Just so intense.
Yeah. And he doesn't, but it goes back to the gas can, and he apparently took the locket and was just going to leave them be. Which, is good. Now the chick escapes safely, and Johnny goes back to sleep for another however many years until some dumb kids come and take it again. So, what exactly would you give this movie?
I'd give it like a 7.5, 8.
I would give it a 7, because this is a new concept, number one.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty unique how they did everything, and I liked seeing something like new and refreshing, and
not to mention the fact that like you said, it's new and refreshing, but it's also from a different perspective that no one truly actually thinks about. People are like, oh, it'd be cool to see, from the killer's perspective or whatever. And yeah, there's, a lot of walking involved, but like, how else does he get around?
Yeah.
You're watching the kids go about their lives and escape, but it's like, also, how's the killer get from place to place, too? So it's kind of cool to see that side of it. Like watching, it would be cool to see, like, Michael Myers doing the same thing.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Like, watching him, hide in the closet, and, like, what brought him to think about hiding in the closet, or, what happened after he fell out the window and landed.
Where'd he go? How'd he get up? How'd he get away so quick?
It would be cool to see this type of movie with him, and you would just see him, like, get up and, like, walk away or something.
Yeah.
So I got a few fear facts here. And for the first one, the director actually describes this movie as a test of patience. Which is pretty true, because there is a lot of walking involved in this.
A lot of waiting.
but I see that more as like anxiety rather than boring.
Yeah. It's
Because-
like, oh shit, what's gonna
Yeah,
happen?
what's gonna happen? Like, how long is he actually going to walk? You know, and he called it a test of patience because you have to be patient to see what he's gonna do, which I kind of agree with that. And for the second one, there was actually 15 gallons of blood used for this movie.
Oh wow.
15 gallons. That's a
That's a
hell of a
lot.
lot of blood.
Yeah.
That kind of sounds. I mean, it was more, but it reminds me of The Shining, the blood
Yeah.
coming out of the elevator.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fucking blood,
That was
too.
probably a lot of blood.
I forget what it was.
I forget too. We'll have to look that up.
But the blood for this movie that was made from corn syrup and red velvet mix.
Oh, interesting.
It's kind of gross to think about.
Kind of gross.
For the third fear fact, the original title of this movie was actually Sleeping Animal,
Sleeping animal.
which I kind of like In a Violent Nature
I like
a little
it.
better.
Yeah, I like it better as well.
I mean, Sleeping Animal does kind of make sense because, you know, he was sleeping, but also, you know,
he was sleeping.
he was kind of like animalistic, like a beast or something.
Yeah.
So I understand why they called it that. So the woman driver who saved her at the end of the movie
Yeah.
was actually Vicky in Friday the 13th Part 2.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Yeah. Which it's kind of interesting how she thought, well, no, not thought, but it was like kind of cool that it was like, oh, you know, I've been in a horror movie before, I wonder if anyone's gonna notice, kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was a good I guess you could say refreshing type movie. Because as we said before, we don't typically get to see the killer's side of the movie.
Yeah, it was just something different.
Yeah, he's
I
just
like
like
that.
appearing out of nowhere and like following them around. But it was cool to see him like formulate plots and chase the people down, and it was very, very brutal and violent.
Yeah.
Which, if you're gonna make a horror movie in this type of fashion, it's probably best for it to be violent, because not only is it called In a Violent Nature, but it's also like you're following the killer
Uh-huh.
and you're seeing why he's doing these things, you know?
You're watching his thought process.
His thought
Stuff.
process, exactly. So, that's it for this movie.
There we
but
go.
This is now October, which means that we've been doing this for what, 2 years or something now?
Oh, damn.
Something like that. I forget the date of the.
I think we'll have to go back and see.
Exactly. I'm gonna do that while we're discussing the rest of this. So we have a kind of nice setup for October to celebrate, you know, spooky
The
season.
season.
Yeah.
Tis the season.
Tis the season, exactly. Yeah, it's been 2 years, October 1st, 2022.
Damn, that's crazy.
So, we're celebrating a little bit of 2 years in a way, but also celebrating Halloween at the same time. And it's we have a good lineup of the first movie, obviously being this one, In a Violent Nature. But next week, we are going to actually have Terrifier 3 with a special guest, which we will tell you.
Special
That's right, which we will tell you who that is next week. But we will be getting Terrifier 3 first reactions as soon as we watch the movie.
Very exciting stuff.
So that'll be our October 12th movie. Our October 19th movie is going to be Child's Play, with October 26th movie will be Trick or Treat. We're finally
Very
doing,
exciting.
yeah,
I've
we're
never
finally
even
doing
seen
it.
it,
I
so-
haven't seen it either.
I'm excited to see it.
I see Sam everywhere as like a horror icon, but I have no idea really who he is
Yeah, or what he's all about.
or what he's all about. And it's kind of cool to do a movie that's basically based on Halloween. It's called Trick or Treat.
Yeah.
And I mean, Sam looks like he's wearing a costume.
Yeah.
You know? So it'll be kind of cool to do a movie on Halloween that's called Trick or Treat. And I assume is very Halloween-y. But that's our October lineup. I hope you join us and enjoy these movies as much as we're going to.
Yeah.
Or Cicely's going to hate Terrifier 3. But...
I'm gonna hate it.
So before we sign off, why don't you go ahead and read the next week's question?
The Thing arrives at Outpost 31 in Antarctica disguised as what animal? Come on, come on, come on!
You can get that one.
We have one with us!
Yeah, especially the ones that have seen
and
that
it's not
movie.
a baby!
Which we haven't done that movie yet, which is a really popular movie, so maybe we'll do that.
Yeah, that'd be a good one.
After the spooky season. So go ahead and put the answer on the Facebooks
Come
if
on!
you know what it is, or message the Facebook profile to tell us what your answer is. And follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, wherever else.
Anywhere you can find the Slasher Sips.
Yeah, you kind of, for like YouTube, you specifically have to type in Slasher Siblings to find it. Or
I think there's another Slasher Siblings, but
yeah,
they're clearly not as cool. So.
I don't know. I haven't listened to
I'm
theirs,
just
but
kidding,
theirs is
I don't
like, I think theirs is like a murder podcast.
I
or
think so
something.
too. Yeah, I think it's different.
Ours is more of a movie review. So, go ahead and type in that specifically. Also, our YouTube should be on the Facebook, I believe.
Oh, cool.
Pretty sure. And, yeah, share us with all your friends and everything if you want us to get out there and get popular and everything.
All that jazz.
All that jazz. We appreciate it. But we will catch you next week with Terrifier 3.
Cannot wait. Catch you later.